Hi everyone. So I wanted to make this video to talk about intrusive thoughts in the whole manifesting, law of attraction, law of assumption realm. Just to give you a little bit of a backstory. So I learned about manifesting around 4 years ago, and I became completely obsessed with it. Started off with the law of attraction. Pretty sure I read The Secret and watched the documentary. And then it kind of developed into law of assumption. I feel like that's kind of the route that a lot of people take. You find out about the law of attraction because it's more mainstream, and then find out about the law of assumption. I was watching everybody from Neville, Goddard to Sammy Ingram to all of these different coaches. And long story short, I was very excited at first because I was like, this is great. I can manifest whatever I wanted to. I actually started manifesting and got quite a few things that I wanted. So I was very excited. And then I started to get awful, horrible, intrusive thoughts. Literally from everything ranging from, bad things happening to my family, me getting sick, illnesses, diseases, literally every single intrusive thought under the sun. And it started to freak me out so bad because I had completely internalized and believed the law that what you think will manifest, or what you focus on will manifest, your dominant thoughts will manifest. And it was really freaking me out because I couldn't control these thoughts. And if you have experienced intrusive thoughts before, you know that the more you try to resist them, the more they're going to come back stronger. So yeah, there I was trying to resist every single negative thought that I had. Like, as soon as it came up, it would cause so much anxiety in my body, and I would be like, no. And I remember commenting on a coach's YouTube being like, I'm so stressed about this, and the advice she gave me was counteract this thought with a positive thought. So I believed this, and I was like, for every bad thought I had, I was then saying 20 positive thoughts as a response to this thought. Which, if you're not familiar with OCD, this is literally what OCD is. It's like counteracting positives with negatives. That's one of the compulsions. So this coach was encouraging me to perform OCD compulsions. I mean, I have no negative feelings towards this person. I feel like there's just a lot of misinformed people on the internet, and people are just teaching what they have been taught. And there's so many false teachings and beliefs on the internet. So I'm not surprised that so many people are feeling anxious about this and worried about this. But I'm here to put your mind at rest, because after I actually scheduled a call with another coach to talk about this, because I was so anxious, and he really, really, really helped me. And I'm going to tell you exactly what he told me and exactly what I've just researched and realized myself from just using my critical thinking and just like common sense, I guess. So yeah, let me start with, first of all, intrusive thoughts cannot manifest because they are not your thoughts. I think that if you educate yourself on what intrusive thoughts actually are, it really helps. And I'll try and explain as best as I can. I mean, I'm not like a psychologist or neuroscience in any sense, but I have researched this for hours. So intrusive thoughts are like random thoughts from the brain. And I think the first step to kind of overcoming this is realizing that you are not the brain, and what the thoughts that the brain gives you are not real. They're just suggestions. I think it really helps to look at them as suggestions. And the brain isn't smart. It's not credible. Like, everything it says, I think as society, we think the brain is like the kind of smart part of us. And it is smart. It can be smart if we train it to do smart things. But if the input is negative, we watch the news, we see negative programming all the time. Things we read, things we experience, things we've heard, things we've watched, things like everything. That's like what our brain will give us suggestions from. So it's really good to kind of get rid of the idea that the brain knows shit, because the brain literally, like, it has no credibility. It has no kind of, the things it tells you, you decide whether they are true. You decide whether they have value or not. And if you just see them for what they are, then they're just useless. They're just useless thoughts. Like, I heard someone call them like the fart, like they're like the brain farting, and I was like, that's so true, and it's quite a good way to realize it. But I'll put a diagram on the screen of how you are separate from the brain. The brain is literally just an organ. And so the point I'm trying to make here is that because you are not the brain, intrusive thoughts are not your thoughts. Like, it's not you thinking, it's the brain that's thinking. And the brain is not the one with power. You are the one with power as the observer. So that's the first reason why intrusive thoughts can't manifest, because they're not your thoughts. They're just a symptom of an overactive brain, an obsessive brain, symptom of anxiety, symptom of OCD. And what has power is not the brain, it's you as the observer of the brain. That is who you truly are. Like, this is truly the one that is creating. And the way that you can distinguish between what is your thoughts, you as the true power, the true observer, and what is the thoughts that the brain is giving you, which is just like the suggestions, just the thoughts, like just the useless nothing, is that you should ask yourself, do I want to be thinking this thought? And intrusive thoughts, no one wants to be thinking them. So therefore, they're obviously not your thoughts. Whereas if you want to be thinking a thought, this is then the thought that, with your intention and your intentional affirming, this is then the thoughts that can have power and manifest, because it's your intention. You want to be thinking these thoughts. You are purposefully, intentionally affirming for something. And therefore, this is the thoughts that can then go manifest. But it's not the thought that has power. It's your intention as the observer to create that has the power. So this kind of goes back to it, that you can only manifest if you have intention to manifest. And I'm going to explain exactly why. Because this does go against a lot of the teachings that are out there on the law of assumption and the law of attraction. I see so many coaches saying, you're always manifesting, so watch your thoughts, like your dominant thoughts are what manifests. This is just so not true, and I'm going to explain exactly why. And this is actually coming back to the coaching call I had. This coach, and I will leave their channel in the description, said to me that like the manifesting and the law of assumption, the law of attraction, was never meant to be seen as a complete and total explanation as to how reality works. It's not supposed to be, oh, I know about manifesting, so therefore I know that it's me and my thoughts creating everything. Because there are just so many inconsistencies and so many contradictions that just prove that to be false. And manifesting is supposed to be seen as like a life hack to create the things that you want. Like, it's supposed to be a good thing to create the things that you want. You're not always manifesting. You're manifesting the moment you decide that you want something. And then you use your thoughts as a tool to focus in and affirm what it is that you want. And there's so many things that prove this. I mean, just thinking about people with OCD in general who don't know about manifesting, and people with anxiety, they have, myself included, before this, I had intrusive thoughts all the time. I was so anxious. I would worry about things. My friend growing up had really bad health anxiety, where she constantly was worried and obsessed that she was ill. And according to the law of assumption, the law of attraction, she should be having all of these diseases now, because she was constantly obsessing. She was always thinking about it. She was completely convinced these thoughts were real and that they were going to happen. But they never happened. And this is the case with literally all of people with OCD who have intrusive thoughts all the time, and they're completely worried this stuff is going to happen. And it never happens, because it's not the thoughts that have power. It's your intention that has the power. And yeah, if people with OCD and intrusive thoughts actually manifested these thoughts, then it would be more like spoken about. OCD wouldn't be seen as a mental illness. It would be seen as this future predicting, I don't even know, like, what's the word? Prophetic? My language is very bad right now, but it would be seen as like, you'd be seen as a fortune teller rather than someone who has, chemical imbalances in your brain. And the same with people with anxiety, people with depression who have negative thoughts. Life would be objectively worse for these people, in the sense that bad things would be happening to these people all around. But it's not the case. People with anxiety don't have objectively worse lives. I mean, not in the sense that they're not mentally struggling. I'm not dismissing that struggle, but in the sense that, I've had anxiety like all of my life, and I was constantly worried about stuff, and this stuff literally never happened. And there are so many statistics. I did so much research on this that just shows like 95% of the time the things we worry about never happen. And if we were always manifesting, then the stuff we worried about would happen most of the time, because you're focusing on something and you're thinking that it's going to happen, like you're assuming it's going to happen. So it just kind of proves that you're not always manifesting. And there are so many other examples that prove this, like people who have, like body dysmorphia, and they have thoughts that constant thoughts that they're ugly, or that they're overweight, or that they're not good enough, and they have these thoughts all the time, and they believe these thoughts, yet the people around them don't see them differently. I had a friend who had the worst self-esteem. She constantly was saying that she was ugly. She constantly was saying that she hated the way she looks and that everyone thought she was ugly. Meanwhile, she was one of the most beautiful people in the school. Everybody always thought she was stunning, and nothing changed apart from her own thoughts. Yet these thoughts didn't change what everybody saw about her. And there's just so many examples where this happens. So it just shows that you're not always manifesting, because there are too many inconsistencies. So yeah, the overall point I'm making here is that you need intention to manifest, and that what these people are teaching you is wrong, because everything I've just told you is happening all the time, and these things don't manifest. And, I've seen people commenting saying like, oh, I manifested a negative situation by having negative thoughts. If you've had bad stuff happen in your life and you happen to think about this stuff happening and then it happened, you have to understand that these things did not happen because you thought about it. The fact that you were thinking about it in the first place just showed that it was a potential possibility to happen. And it just so happened that your thoughts aligned with what happened in the objective reality. But this does not mean that you caused it. If you think about it, we have 80,000 thoughts a day on average. And it was something like 80% of these thoughts are negative. Yet most of the time these things don't happen. So there are going to be some circumstances where the things we think about negatively do sometimes happen. But it doesn't mean that your thoughts are the ones creating it. I'm not trying to say this to make you worry about, your negative thoughts predicting stuff. The thoughts are still powerless. But the point I'm making is for people that are, using this as evidence, saying that our negative thoughts are powerful, it's not true, in the sense that your negative thoughts did not create this to happen. It just happened because it was going to happen anyway, because bad stuff happens in the world sometimes, because we all have free will and we're all living in this world together, we're all co-creating, and therefore sometimes people use their free will to do bad stuff, so therefore bad stuff sometimes happens. But it doesn't mean that your thoughts is what's creating this. So you don't need to worry about any negative thoughts. You don't need to worry about intrusive thoughts. They're completely powerless. It's your intention that creates. What I do want to say is that your thoughts create your reality, in the sense that they shape your perspective of reality, in the sense that we're all living in one world. Yeah, we're each living on our own reality because we have different perspectives of the one objective reality, if that makes sense. And it's our thoughts, the thoughts that we believe, is what shapes this perspective of reality, which does affect your life, in the sense that the thoughts you believe is what shapes your actions. So, for example, if I was having the thought, my brain suggested to me the thought, oh, you're never going to be a successful singer, let's say. And I believed this thought. I probably then wouldn't go take the steps to be a successful singer, because I believed the thought that was telling me that I wasn't going to be able to do it. Whereas if I started telling myself, I'm going to be a successful singer, I'm going to be a successful singer, this would then shape my perspective of reality, and I would then go believe that I could be a successful singer, and then do the things I need to do to become a successful singer. But that's the only way that thoughts can influence our lives, in the sense that they can shape our decisions and shape our actions. But thoughts themselves have no power by themselves. They're just thoughts, they're just suggestions, and it's you as the observer to decide whether they're true or not. But it's always through intention, right? So even if I had the negative thoughts and I believed them, it's still up to me to then act on them and decide. Like, I always have that power, I always have that intention. The thoughts do not have the power. And thoughts themselves cannot cause anything to happen without you and your intention, if that makes sense. So if you have horrible thoughts, you have negative thoughts, these thoughts are just going to stay inside your brain, and they're not going to materialize unless you want them to. It's all about your intention. And just going back to the points I made earlier, if you still want to follow the teachings that are online by a lot of these coaches that say you're always manifesting, you still don't need to worry, because intrusive thoughts are still not your thoughts. They're just like random intrusive thoughts from the brain, and you don't want to be thinking them, so therefore they're not going to happen because they're not your thoughts, and it's you that has power. So even if you think and you want to continue thinking that you create everything and that you're always manifesting, then you still don't need to worry about intrusive thoughts. But I hope that I've given enough examples and evidence to show you that it always requires intention. It's okay, you're safe, your family's safe, your health is safe, everything is okay. If you have any more questions, I'll be very happy to answer them in the comment section. I just want to help people with this because this caused me so much anxiety and stress, and I continue to see misinformation on the internet every day, and I'm so determined. Like, every time I see it, I'm replying to the comments like, this is not true, stop spreading these lies, stop making people anxious, it's fine. Yeah, so with that being said, everything's fine. If you need more guidance, I'm here for you, and I hope you have a beautiful day, and yeah, goodbye.